Hey guys, today I'll be ranking off meta top laners for patch 14.10, but also just generally just off meta top laners in general. So this is how it looks like, just stats wise. Um, I can put letters here, or tiers in this, but you can start this as C, then go start the 45 to 50 as C, and go up from there, or down from there. And I think before I start this, I have to tell you how I got these stats. So I'm using Emerald Plus, and I'm using 30 days, and I'm going to the top lane using this, and then I'm taking stats that have around 1,000 to 100 games played per day. So that's what per 30 is. So that means for 30 days, that means 30k games to 30k games to 3,000 games a day. Um, and then just taking the games played from there. So I mean, I taken basically what I take from Vladimir and all the way down because he has about like around 30k game. I mean, this is obviously higher than 30k games, but yeah. And going down from there to up to about 3,000, like right here. Yeah, exactly. I'd stop like right here or something like that, or a bit below. Let's just do 2,000 to see what's a bit below that. Yeah, as you see, yeah, Vel'Koz is real. Yeah. Anyway, so I took that all those stats and I ranked them here. Um, as you can see, Cassiopeia, or sorry, for the greater than 52% win rate, there's Cassiopeia, Akshan, Swain, Rek'Sai, Asol, Brand, Galio, Vhagar, Fiddlesticks, Anivia, Nico, Hui, Kassadin, Zillion, Senna, Syndra, Talia. Um, I was planning on naming them all. Actually, we might as well. I'll stop at the 50%. So the positive, like off meta top laners, like that are above, are 50% or above. I think I'll just name them all. So from 51 to 52%, Silas, Rise, Rengar, Maokai, Neferi, Ari, Kiana, Nocturne, Annie, Vel'Koz. And then about even, but slightly above even, 50 to 51%, Heimerdinger, Rammus, Sejuani, Zed, Malzahar, Briar, Azir, Victor, Lissandra, Ashe, LeBlanc, Bel'Veth. And then about even is Vladimir, Zinzao, Karma, Tristana, Draven, Karthus, Diana, and Nidalee. And of course, there's the less than stellar picks. I won't name all the champions there. I'll just stop at 50%. But I do want to mention there's a couple of trends you can notice here. Actually, let me cover what the highlights are. So green means that they're the higher end, the top five most played out of my in this in this most games played. So that means Cass has a high sample size. I mean, consider it. I mean, like the only you can make an argument that 3,000 or 30,000 isn't a high sample size. I do say that is enough. I think that's good enough for me because I mean, let's say a dude decides to in 10 games, that's not going to change the stats by a lot. It's not going to change the stats at all, actually. So, by the way, these are stats from ranked games. So people trust in these picks enough to risk their LP for it. So, oh yeah, Cassiopeia. That means she has a high, like top five highest play rates of these champions here, and she's at above 52% win rate. So she's obviously a really good pick. Really good off meta pick. Same with Silas, Rise, Heimerdinger, Vladimir being played a lot, but not getting a lot of success. So that means, yeah, he could be good if you're good at Vladimir. Elsewise, you should probably stick to something like Cassiopeia. And then the red is the opposite. It's the bottom five or the bottom five least played out of these champions. So you see Syndra and Talia here. That's above 52% rate. It could vary. They could be here, they could be here, but as it stands, because of their play rates here, I still do trust 3,000. 3,000 is still good enough for me, but personally, for you guys. I don't know if you want 3,000, but it's might as well mark it. Vel'Koz, Jin, and Ezreal. Um, I think I covered like just generally looking at it. You do see a lot of you do see trends actually, and I do want to cover what the trends are here because it's very interesting to me and just to talk about that a lot of mages, like Syndra, or not Syndra, Cassiopeia, Swain, all of these guys in the are predominantly mages, right? And in the 50% and above, these are just straight up just mages. A lot of them are. And I like to talk about why I think that is later. But I do want to just say that most of the time, most of the mages are going to be really good. If you pick a mage top lane, it's going to be pretty good. Um, and I do want to specify a difference as well that there's some mages that, like Malzahar, for example, all he really does is shove waves permanently. Well, something and like same with Rise, like Rise Malzahar, they shove waves permanently. Well, something like Veigar, he isn't too good at shoving waves. He just, he stacks, you know. And I like, for example, just battle mages like Cassiopeia and Silas are battle mages. Rise is a battle mage, but they both can shove waves. Um, oh yeah, this next thing I was going to talk about are the scalers or the stackers. Asol is in, what is this? So this, I don't know, S tier, Z tier, whatever. So Asol really good, Veigar really good, Senna really good. An outlier is actually Smolder. Where is he? Over here, right? I mean, just look about it. So Asol scales off hurting people and minions. Veigar scales off hurting people and minions. Senna scales off hurting people and minions. Smolder scales off hurting people and minions. But Smolder is pretty damn low compared to these guys. I mean, this is several percents of difference. And I think Smolder's an outlier because his base numbers are bad. Just everything about his base numbers and his numbers are just terrible. If they got tweaked a little bit, like for example, Senna like, being up here is super surprising, right? Like compare Senna and Smolder, right? They both get stacks off just simply autoing or not for like hitting enemies, right? Senna has a worse escape options than Smolder's. Like Smolder's E can go through walls and he goes faster and yeah, like his E is just strictly better than Senna's E, especially for a solo lane. But Senna's higher because her numbers are not as bad as Smolder's. Like his numbers are like Smolder's numbers are actually like a problem to him. And I mean they've probably seen it in the stats as well. But if Riot does fix Smolder's numbers, I expect them to be up here. Um, some other things I'd like to mention are assassins kind of like or let me rephrase that. Junglers tend not to be good in the top lane. Jungle champions, right? Like primarily jungle champions. Like you see like Rengar. Rengar's solid. He's a jungle champion. Nocturne jungle champion. Like primarily jungle champions. But I mean you see here in the bottom you see Lilia, Jarvan, Master Yi, Vi, Graves, like I mean like yeah. So picking a jungler in the top lane probably not be good too good. I think a lot of them are less than optimal. And is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh yeah. So I want to talk about why the majority of mages are in the positive win rate in top lane. And it I think comes from just fundamentally from their design. I think so no, sorry. Mages are designed to go in mid lane. Majority of them are. And mid lane is harsher than top lane for a couple of reasons. One, Mid lane has so many entrances. Like functionally, there's no walls in mid lane. Um, Mid lane is also in the middle of the map, so that's where the most traffic is going to be, right? The jungler is going to go from top side, bot side. Um, Supports are going roaming up. Top laners are roaming down. There's a lot more activity in mid lane. In combination with the fact that there's basically no walls in mid lane, it's more often that you have another person there. So mages are designed to play safe or have safe what's it called or disengage options, um, as well as being able to farm even in these disadvantageous like 2v1 scenarios. Think about um, think about Annie, right? Annie can farm with her Q from long range. She's a shield that's also a movement speed buff. And I do want to mention that mages also primarily have at least one CC to help facilitate their jungler, right? So when a jungler ganks, it's usually the laner that engages for them, and the jungler comes and follows up. So meaning that so any of their stuns her opponent, and then the jungler comes in with their CC and follows up on top of that. And I mean you see from here, right? Um, Usually it's Vel'Koz with its knockup, Rise with his EW route, you know, stuff like that. So I think because mages are designed to be able to play in an environment where 2v1s are more often, their kits need to be able to farm safely and have a lot of disengage options, as well as they scale, right? Mages just scale better than probably most top laners. I'm not gonna say like all top laners, but like most bruisers, for take example, like Garen and Darius, they're not scaling as good as Asol. They're not scaling as good as Vhagar. And they're not scaling as good as Anivia or even Nico or Hui, right? Um, the combination with that mages are safe even in top lane, where top lane is a much longer lane, meaning there's a longer distance to run to your tower. They're still fine up there because they have so much like range and safety, just safety built into their kit. Um, I have actually played a lot of these. I've played a lot of these picks, primarily Akshan, Asol, Nico. Let's see here. I think Annie. Yep, Malzahar. Xin Smolder. Anyway, so I do like I have anecdotal evidence for some of these, and they do match the tier list. They do honest. Like I felt like it did feel like Annie was better than Xin right? For the fact that she could just farm safely under tower, and you're basically immune to tower dives because what are you gonna do? Like if you try to tower dive Annie, she's gonna stun you. As soon as you get to her dagger, she's gonna stun you. She's gonna then drop Tibbers, and if you manage, best case scenario for you, you still kill Annie, but Tibbers gets in range, and now you're dead too. So yeah, it's pretty hard to gank some of these champions. Like for example, stuff like Victor, right? You can't really gank Victor because he's gonna put his stun field and you're just dead on the tower. Same with Lissandra, stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of insights in here. Hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. It's not really a tier list. It's just me putting stats in a way that's easily digestible. Um, so hope you guys enjoy. I'll probably make another one. I think I'm just gonna go down so off meta junglers and see you guys later.